Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to the channel. Now today we will actually be doing in-depth review number 40 and we will be having a look at Wasp. Now in the video we'll start off with an overview, so that includes how you unlock her and also her tags. We'll then have a look at her stats. Next up it's the abilities. We then check out the synergies, then we finish up with the tier list and see where she places in that. So we'll start off with the general overview. Wasp then is a blaster class, so she's there to put out damage, but she actually has some utility in her kit as well, and she's got some very nice synergies with Ant-Man. Now when we look at her tags, it's Hero, Global, Tech and Blaster. Blaster can be used for that infamous challenge, and then you've got the Tech tag, which is exceptionally strong now due to the likes of Vision and his recent buff, and that's something we'll discuss when we do get to the synergies section. Now in regards to how you unlock her, you've got the Sting of the Wasp legendary event. You need 100 shards to get her, so she unlocks at 3-star. If she's anything like Ant-Man, what happened is you had the Ant-Man legendary event, which was shortly followed up by a Blitz, and in the data mine we've seen that there will be a Wasp Blitz as well, so I'm pretty certain following the one that's on at the moment, or maybe the one after that, we'll be able to farm some additional shards for her and get her ranked up even higher. Now with the overview covered, let's have a look at her stats. When we look at the offensive stats for Wasp here, they are very average. We have her damage, which is middle of the road with C. She does have some nice multipliers, but still for a blaster class, C is a bit on the lower side. You've got her speed, which is B, so that's certainly very nice. And then you've got her focus, which is D. Now she does only have one debuff, and that would be the stun, but with the focus being way down at D, it means that you don't have the greatest chance for it to apply if you're going up against a character that does have high resistance. So you do have to make sure you try and pick a character that has lower resistance there. Now what we'll check out next will be her defensive stats. With Wasp being a blaster class, her defensive stats are on the lower side, so that is to be expected. Her health is down at E, so that's certainly low. The armour and resistance are C. What she does have to make up for survivability a bit, and it actually ties in with her special skill, is that she can get up to 25% dodge, but that's through her passive, so you do need to upgrade that before you actually start to see the difference with that. Now what we'll do next is we'll have a look at her abilities. With the abilities here, we have 4 in total to look at. It's the basic, special, ultimate and also the passive. Now I'll show off the tooltip for it maxed out, so it's level 7 for active skills and level 5 for the passive, and then what I'll do when I'm discussing each individual one is I'll let you know how high you want to level it as well. Now Wasp also has very strong synergies with Ant-Man, so when we get to each respective skill, if Ant-Man has a synergy with Wasp through that same skill, then I'll mention that during that section. Now the one we look at first is the passive, which is simply called Shrink. So with this, when it's maxed out on dodge, you gain charged. Charged is something that's relevant when we look at the special, and you can get up to 25% dodge chance when this is maxed out. I would say it's worth maxing out because the dodge chance really does help her survivability, and also she's getting that charge. When you pair her up with Ant-Man, she would actually get evade on the start of a fight as well, and the way evade works is it's counted as a dodge essentially, so that means that Ant-Man applies it to her. If an enemy attacks, they'll 100% chance for her to actually evade and attack to miss, as long as it's not unavoidable, and then that will charge her straight away at the start of a fight, so that can be really nice there. For the basic, we have a move called Sting and Move. Now with this one, you attack the primary target for 290% damage with a 30% chance to chain to one adjacent target for 240% damage, and the tooltip now mentions that counter attack breaks the chain on that, so you do have to be wary of that. Now if you pair it up with Ant-Man, then as part of Ant-Man's respective basic attack, when he clears a buff from an enemy, he will actually apply the buff to himself, and if Wasp is in his team, it will apply that very same buff to Wasp as well, so that can be nice. But looking at this skill on its own, it is a little bit underwhelming because you've only got a low 30% chance to chain, and when it does chain, it's only going up to one adjacent target there. Now, I would say you want to take this to level 5 at a minimum. That provides you with a 30% chance to chain. Anything else you put into that would be at your own discretion, because all it will simply do is increase the damage there, and we don't have the highest chance for it to chain anyway, so it's something that personally I think I'm going to leave it at level 5. For the special, we have a really nice single target skill here. It's called Blasters, and it's 4 turns to charge and comes fully charged. Now with this, you attack the primary target for 250% damage, and you bonus attack 1 to 2 times for an additional 200% damage. Now the bonus attack gains a 100% chance at level 5, so taking this skill up to level 5 at an absolute minimum. Anything after that will be adding to the damage, and I believe it is worthwhile because you're doubling up, getting the primary target damage, but you're also getting the additional damage on the bonus attack as well. So you're looking at a minimum of 450% damage all the way up to 650%, and that's on the first turn as well. You can cast that, so that can be really nice. Now, an additional part of this skill, and this ties in with the passive, is if charged. If we think back to the passive, you can get charged from dodging or having evade on you and being attacked, but if charged, in addition, you stun the target when you fire off this particular skill, so that can be really useful. And after doing that, you then of course lose the charge status and you would have to build it back up again. So really nice skill here, level 5 minimum, but you may want to max it out if you've got the materials as well. For the special, we have a skill here that when you look at it straight away, you'll think this is an anti-hand sentry skill, and it is to an extent, but it's not perfect in how it can actually work against them. This is called Flight of the Wasp anyway. It's 5 turns to charge, comes with 3 charges, it does a lot of damage over an AoE. You gain that by attacking all targets for 300% damage, and you can see that it says including stealth targets as well. So the first kind of enemy that comes to mind, of course, is the hand sentry. But what happens is when hand sentry stealths up his allies, he actually adds evade to them as well, meaning that attack would miss. You would have to strip the evade, and then at that point you could use the attack and it would work its way through its stealth. But it will of course work on other characters, the likes of Electra and Black Widow. It can help take them out a bit quicker there. Regarding how high you would want to take this particular skill, you would want to max this one out because it does do a nice amount of damage and it does scale pretty well. Now, just before we actually move on, I'll mention as well that Ant-Man on his ultimate doesn't tie in directly with Wasp, and that she doesn't gain a buff the way she does on some of the other skills, but on Ant-Man's ultimate, if he is paired up with Wasp, then what happens is he does an additional 100% damage on his ultimate attack, so that's something to bear in mind there. But what we'll do now, we'll have a look at the synergies. When we look at the synergies here, the most obvious one you have of course would be Ant-Man. Now, the way this does work is that Wasp gains more than Ant-Man actually gains, so if you run Wasp on her own, she comes in a little bit lower than I would say Ant-Man does, because he's almost self-sufficient in a way and he buffs himself a bit higher with Wasp, whereas Wasp almost needs Ant-Man to push herself up that bit further. Now, what do they actually get synergy wise? So you've got the fact that when Ant-Man cleanses an effect on his basic, he can then add that effect to himself in Wasp. That's really nice if you can add the likes of a fence up there. You've got the fact that on Ant-Man's ultimate, he'll do an additional 100% damage if he's paired up with Wasp. And then finally you've got Ant-Man's passive, where on spawn he applies evade to Wasp if she's an ally, and that works really nice because, as mentioned, evade works the same way as dodge, and that in turn will charge you up, meaning you can get a stun on your special there, so that can be really nice. Other characters that can work well with Wasp would be Rocket, Iron Man and Vision, because they all offer different tech bonuses. You've got Rocket with additional damage, Iron Man with the crit chance, and then finally you've got Vision with that defense up, which can help out because she has a bit on the squishy side there. Now next up, let's have a look at the characters you want to avoid. When we look at characters you ideally want to avoid here, we've got a few for different reasons. Now, firstly we have high resistance characters. I'm not going to list them all, because there are quite a few and most players will know them. If you don't, then simply check out msf.gg and you can check the stats there. But you want to look out for high resistance characters, because with Wasp's focus being a little bit on the lower side, it means that potentially you'll be wasting that stun on her special, which can be really useful, but there's a good chance you'll waste it if you try and use it on a character that has high resistance. Now next up we have Hawkeye. So Wasp's survivability really comes from her dodge, and Hawkeye has unavoidable attacks, meaning that they cannot be dodged. We then have Vision. He can give her trouble because she's a tech ally, that means he can apply bleed to her, and also he's faster than her, meaning he can apply ability block and then she's stuck using that pretty underwhelming basic. And then finally you have Korath and Gamora, who can go faster than her, hit really hard, and have a chance of locking her down or taking her out altogether there. Now what we'll do with that covered, we'll have a look and see where she places in the tier list. With this tier list here, then what we'll do before we actually place Wasp is we'll run over her pros and cons. Now if we look at the positive of her, you've got that really nice special you can use on the first turn, doing anywhere between 450 and 650% damage, and if you're charged you've got that stun on it as well. You've got the special, which is nice in regards to how it works against stealth targets, but as mentioned it's not quite as good on hand sentry as you would first expect due to all the evades sentry will put up as well with it. And then finally you have the tech tag that she has as well, and we all know the tech tag is getting really strong at the moment, and we're going to be able to build some interesting teams with that. Now if we look at the downsides, you've firstly got the fact that she only has one piece of utility in her kit, that is the stun on her special, and you actually have to build it up and get a dodge or evade in the first instance before you can use it. And also she has lower focus, so there's a chance it may not actually apply, meaning essentially she doesn't have any utility there. You've got her basic, which is really a bit underwhelming with the low chance to chain, and if you do get lucky and it does chain, you're only chaining to one additional target. And then finally you've got the synergies with Ant-Man. These are really nice, but I feel that Ant-Man comes out just ahead of her for the reason that she needs Ant-Man more than Ant-Man needs her, because Ant-Man only gains one buff from her, whereas she actually gains 2 buffs from Ant-Man. It means it's nice from a synergy perspective, but it also means that if you play her on her own, she is a little bit weaker. Now for that specific reason, I would actually place Wasp as a high tier 3 character. In regards to Ant-Man, I would say he would have been a lower alpha character, so they are both very close. High tier 3 still a very good character and one worthwhile investing in, and as is the case with most of these characters nowadays, I really like what they've done from an animation and combat point of view. Once again, they've done an absolutely fantastic job there. But as always, do let me know in the comments below what you think of the video, what you think of the actual tier placement, and let me know how you're getting on in regards to unlocking Wasp as well. I did get lucky, and I think I got maybe as many as 4 or 5 shards where I was getting 10 at a time, so I was really incredibly lucky there, and that's the reason I managed to get this video out already. But as always, thanks for tuning in for this. I'll see you all again soon.